The ancient station floated in the darkness like a forgotten tomb. Its metal skin had turned dark after centuries of exposure to cosmic radiation. No power signatures, no life signs, just another piece of space debris at the edge of explored space. But this debris was different. It was massive, perfectly spherical, and covered in symbols that nobody in the Valtrian Empire had ever seen before. Commander Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of the warship Crimson Blade, staring at the station through the main view screen. His gray uniform was pressed perfectly, medals lined across his chest. He had fought in 12 campaigns for the Empire. He had seen strange things in the void between stars, but this made him uncomfortable in a way he could not explain. "Scan it again," he ordered. His crew moved quickly, fingers dancing across their control panels. The results came back the same. The station was old. Very old. Possibly 300 years or more. The metal composition matched nothing in their databases. Admiral Taeyang appeared on the communication screen. The supreme commander of the Valtrian fleet looked annoyed. His face was sharp, his eyes cold. "Commander, what is taking so long? Board the station and catalog whatever is inside. We have 3 more systems to patrol this month." "Yes, Admiral," Hyunwoo said. But something felt wrong. The station should have been destroyed by time and space. Instead, it looked almost new under all that cosmic dust. The boarding team wore full combat armor. Their magnetic boots clanked against the station's outer hull as they cut through the airlock. Inside, the air was stale, but breathable. Emergency lights flickered on as they moved through the corridors. The station's power core was still functioning after all these centuries. That should have been impossible. They found the artifacts in what looked like a memorial chamber. Glass cases lined the walls, each containing objects preserved in stasis fields. Weapons that looked elegant and deadly. Star charts showing systems the Valtrians had never discovered. Books written in an unknown language. And uniforms. Blue uniforms with a symbol of a planet circled by stars. Scholar Yuna arrived on the second day. She was younger than Hyunwoo expected, with bright eyes that seemed to see everything at once. She wore simple civilian clothes and carried a data tablet everywhere. The moment she saw the artifacts, she gasped. "These are human," she whispered. Hyunwoo frowned. "Humans are myths, stories told to children." "No," Yuna said firmly. She moved to the nearest display case, her fingers tracing the glass without touching it. Humans were real. 300 years ago, they controlled dozens of star systems. They had technology that we still cannot match. Then there was a war. A terrible war that destroyed entire planets. After that, humans vanished. Most people think they went extinct. But some records suggest they chose to disappear. "Fairy tales," Hyunwoo said. But he watched Yuna work. She photographed everything. She ran her scanners over the symbols. Her excitement grew with each discovery. She found the message on the 3rd day. It was hidden in the station's computer core, protected by encryption that took her hours to break. When the file finally opened, a hologram appeared in the center of the memorial chamber. It showed a human man in a military uniform. His face was tired, but determined. "To whoever finds this place," the hologram said, "know that we remember. We watched our mistakes nearly destroy the galaxy. We fought wars that killed billions. We created weapons that could crack planets. And we finally understood that power without wisdom leads only to ashes. So we left. We went into the darkness to rebuild ourselves. To learn. To wait. This memorial stands as a reminder of what we lost and what we learned. If you are here, if you have found this place, know that we are still out there. We are watching. And if the galaxy needs us again, we will return." The hologram faded. The chamber fell silent. Yuna looked at Hyunwoo with wide eyes. "They are still alive." "One hologram proves nothing," Hyunwoo said. But his voice lacked conviction. Admiral Taeyang gave his orders the next day. "Destroy it all. The station, the artifacts, everything. We do not need ghost stories distracting the fleet. The Valtrian Empire is supreme. No vanished species will challenge that, Hyunwoo tried to argue. Yuna pleaded. But Taeyang was absolute in his command. The charges were set. The Crimson Blade pulled back to a safe distance, and the memorial station exploded in a flash of light that briefly illuminated the empty space around it. Yuna cried. Not loud, but quiet tears that she tried to hide. Hyunwoo watched the debris scatter and felt something cold settle in his stomach. What had they just done? Far away. Impossibly far. In a region of space marked as empty on every star chart. A signal reached a hidden fleet. The ships hung in the shadow of a dark nebula, thousands of them, each one massive beyond belief. They had waited here for decades, centuries, patient, watching. Hoping they would never be needed, Captain Jinwoo sat in his command chair aboard the Defiant Dawn. He was older than he looked, kept young by the medical technology that humans had perfected. His uniform was simple, dark blue with silver trim. The same symbol from the memorial station was on his shoulder, a planet circled by stars. Sir, his communications officer said, we have received a priority signal. The memorial station at marker 773 has been destroyed. Jinwoo closed his eyes. He had helped build that station. He had placed the artifacts in their cases. He had recorded the hologram message. That station was sacred, a reminder of humanity's darkest days and their promise to do better. Who destroyed it? He asked quietly. The Valtrian Empire. They found it 3 days ago. Scanned it. Then demolished it. Completely. Jinwoo stood. He walked to the window that showed the nebula and the hidden fleet beyond. 10,000 dreadnoughts. Each one capable of devastating a planet. Each one crewed by humans who had sworn to protect the galaxy from itself. Send word to Terran Command, Jinwoo said. Initiate protocol revelation. It is time the galaxy remembered who we are. The officer hesitated. Sir? Are you certain? This means revealing ourselves. This means possible war. They destroyed our memorial, Jinwoo said softly. They spat on the graves of billions who died to teach us peace. Yes, I am certain. They have forgotten us. Now, they will remember. Across the hidden fleet, ships began to wake. Engines that had idled for years roared to life. Weapons systems came online. 10,000 dreadnoughts, prepared for the long journey back to known space. The legends were about to become real. 3 months passed after the station's destruction. The Valtrian Empire continued its expansion across the Outer Rim. New colonies were established. New worlds were claimed. Admiral Taeyang celebrated each victory from his flagship, proud that nothing could challenge the Empire's dominance. Then the sensors detected something impossible. It appeared at the edge of Valtrian space on a Tuesday morning. A single ship, emerging from faster-than-light travel with a precision that their best pilots could not match. The vessel was sleek and dark, shaped like a blade cutting through space. It was larger than any Valtrian cruiser, but smaller than their dreadnoughts. The hull bore no battle scars, no signs of age. It looked new, despite clearly being built with ancient design principles. The ship transmitted on every frequency. The message was simple and clear. This is the Terran vessel Defiant Dawn. We request permission to approach Valtros Prime for diplomatic discussions. We come in peace. Terran. The word sent shockwaves through the Valtrian command structure. Humans were supposed to be extinct. They were legends. Children's stories. Yet here was a ship claiming to represent Terra, the mythical human homeworld. Admiral Taeyang was intrigued but not concerned. One ship posed no threat to an empire of thousands. He granted permission for the humans to approach, partly out of curiosity, partly out of amusement. If humans truly had survived, they were clearly weak and desperate to send only a single vessel. The Defiant Dawn entered orbit around Valtros Prime 3 days later. The planet below was the jewel of the Empire. Massive cities covered 3 continents. Orbital stations ringed the world like pearls on a string. Hundreds of warships patrolled the space around it. The message was clear. This was power. This was strength. A shuttle launched from the human ship. It descended through the atmosphere and landed at the Grand Council's ceremonial platform. News crews broadcast the event across every channel. The entire Empire wanted to see the humans who had returned from extinction. The shuttle's door opened. Diplomat Mina stepped out first. She was tall and confident, wearing a formal uniform of dark blue with silver trim. The old United Nations symbol on her shoulder had been modified with additional stars representing systems the Valtrians had never heard of. Behind her came 2 guards, armed, but not threatening. Their weapons stayed holstered. Mina walked across the platform toward the Grand Council chamber. She did not hurry. She did not show fear. She moved like someone who had every right to be there. The Valtrian guards tensed, but did not interfere. Orders from above said to let the humans enter. The Grand Council chamber was huge, designed to make visitors feel small. Curved walls rose 30 meters high. Hundreds of council members sat in tiered seats, looking down at the central floor where Mina stood. Admiral Taeyang sat in the highest seat, his position making him look like a king. "So," Taeyang said, his voice echoing through the chamber, "the legends walk among us. We thought humans were extinct. Where have you been hiding?" Mina smiled slightly. "We were not hiding, Admiral. We were watching. For 300 years, humanity has observed the galaxy from a distance. We left because we had become a danger to ourselves and others. We fought wars that nearly destroyed everything. We decided that isolation was better than causing more death." "How noble," Taeyang said mockingly. "And now you return with a single ship. What do you want? Aid? Protection? Perhaps you hope to beg for territory." "No," Mina said simply. "We come to deliver a message. Humanity has watched the Valtrian Empire expand for the past 50 years. We have seen you conquer worlds. We have seen you force species into submission. Most of this, we tolerated. But now, you are entering regions of space that we have designated as protected zones. These are systems containing civilizations that have not yet developed space travel. They are under our protection. You will cease all expansion into these zones immediately." The council chamber erupted in laughter. Council members pointed at Mina and mocked her words. 1 ship, 1 diplomat. And she dared to make demands of an empire? Admiral Taeyang held up his hand for silence. "Let me understand this correctly. You, representing a species that vanished centuries ago, are ordering the Valtrian Empire to stop our expansion? Based on what authority? Your single ship? Based on the authority of capability?" Mina said calmly. "And based on the moral authority that comes from learning our lessons. We do not want war. Admiral, we came to warn you because that is what civilized beings do. They talk before they fight. We have 5,000 warships," Taeyang said. "How many do you have?" "Enough," Mina replied. "Show me," Taeyang demanded. "We will. In 7 days, if you have not agreed to recognize the protected zones and sign the Terran Compact for developing civilizations, we hope you will choose dialogue. But if you choose defiance, you will see what humanity has built in 300 years of isolation." Taeyang leaned forward. "Is that a threat?" "It is a fact," Mina said. "You have 7 days to decide." Reckling, the council laughed again. 7 days. As if they feared anything this lone diplomat could do. Commander Hyunwoo was assigned as the liaison to the human delegation. He was to ensure they did not cause trouble during their stay. But mostly, he was curious. He remembered the memorial station. He remembered Scholar Yuna's words about human technology. He visited the Defiant Dawn on the third day. Captain Jinwoo met him at the airlock. The human captain was polite, but reserved. He showed Hyun-woo through the ship, and what the Valtrian commander saw shook him to his core. The technology was decades ahead of anything the Empire possessed. The engines were compact but powerful. The computer systems operated at speeds that should have been impossible. The weapons, though not activated, were clearly sophisticated beyond belief. And everything was efficient. Nothing was wasted. Every system had backup systems. This ship could fight for months without resupply. How? Hyun-woo asked. Jinwoo smiled sadly. We had 300 years to learn, to build, to perfect our technology without the distraction of conquest. When you are not spending resources on empire building, you can focus on advancement. We did not forget how to build weapons, Commander. We just chose not to need them. Until now. Why reveal yourselves now? Hyun-woo asked. Why not stay hidden? Because you destroyed our memorial, Jinwoo said, and his voice became hard. That station was sacred to us. It contained the names of billions who died in our wars. It was a reminder of our mistakes. And your admiral ordered it demolished like it was trash. That disrespect, combined with your empire's aggression toward innocent species, forced our hand. We cannot stand by anymore. Hyun-woo felt cold. The admiral will not back down. He sees your single ship as proof of weakness. I know, Jinwoo said. That is why we gave 7 days. Time for wiser voices to speak. Time for your people to investigate their own historical records. If they look hard enough, they will find the truth. Humanity once fielded fleets of hundreds of thousands of ships. We were an empire that spanned a quarter of the galaxy. We could have ruled everything. Instead, we nearly destroyed everything. So we stopped. We left. And we rebuilt. And now we have returned. Not as conquerors, but as protectors. The galaxy will learn this, one way or another. The 7 days passed quickly. Admiral Taeyang refused to negotiate. He saw the humans as a joke. The Valtrian Empire mobilized its fleet. 5,000 warships gathered at 3 different protected zone systems. They positioned themselves in orbit around worlds where primitive species were developing. The message was clear. We do not fear you. Scholar Yuna begged the council to reconsider. She had found historical records buried deep in ancient databases. Records of human wars. Records of human fleets that blotted out stars. But nobody listened. Legends could not hurt them. On the 7th day, Diplomat Mina stood before the Grand Council one final time. Have you reconsidered? No, Admiral Taeyang said. Your bluff is called. Show us this great human fleet. Show us why we should fear you. Mina nodded slowly. Then you have made your choice. May your ancestors forgive you. She turned and walked out of the chamber. Her shuttle left the planet. The Defiant Dawn departed Valtrian space. And across the galaxy, 10,000 dreadnoughts began their final approach. The Valtrian fleet had never looked more impressive. 5,000 warships spread across 3 star systems, each one positioned to show maximum strength. Cruisers, destroyers, carriers, and dreadnoughts filled the orbital space around 3 worlds. These worlds contained species that were still primitive by galactic standards. They had electricity. They had early computers. But they did not have space travel. They were helpless. Admiral Taeyang stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Emperor's Wrath. He felt proud. This was the largest military gathering in Valtrian history. Nothing could challenge this armada. Certainly not a species that had sent 1 diplomat and 1 ship. Let them come, he said to his officers. Let these humans show themselves. We will crush them, and prove once and for all that the Valtrian Empire is supreme. His officers cheered. They believed in their strength. They had conquered dozens of worlds. They had never lost a major battle. Why would now be different? But some voices tried to warn them. Scholar Yuna had spent the week researching every scrap of information about humans. What she found terrified her. Ancient records spoke of a war called the Great Burning. Humans had fought against an alliance of 12 species. The war lasted 20 years. When it ended, 6 of those species were extinct. 4 more were reduced to primitive levels. Only 2 survived intact, and they never spoke of what they saw. Yuna brought her findings to Counselor Nari, one of the few diplomats who thought negotiation was still possible. Nari was older, experienced, and had seen enough wars to know that overconfidence killed empires. "Look at this," Yuna said, showing her data tablet to Nari. "This is a report from an observer ship that watched the final battle of the Great Burning. It describes the human fleet as numbering over 300,000 vessels. The report says they darkened the space around the enemy homeworld. It says their weapons could puncture planets. Counselor, we are making a terrible mistake." Nari looked at the data with growing horror. "Have you shown this to the Admiral? He will not see me. He says I am spreading panic and lies. He says these records are exaggerated stories. Then we must go above him. We must contact the Grand Council directly." But the Grand Council was celebrating. They threw parties in the capital. They broadcast messages of triumph across the Empire. The humans would learn their place. The galaxy would see that the Valtrians could not be threatened. Commander Hyunwoo could not sleep. He kept thinking about the Defiant Dawn, about the technology he had seen, about Captain Jinwoo's sad smile when he said humans had not forgotten how to build weapons. Hyunwoo had fought in many battles. He knew the difference between a bluff and a promise. Jinwoo had made a promise. In the hidden reaches of space, far beyond any mapped star system, the human fleet prepared. 10,000 dreadnoughts hung in perfect formation around a dark nebula. Each ship was massive, measuring over 2 kilometers in length. They had been built slowly over 3 centuries, each one an improvement on the last. They represented humanity's greatest engineering achievement and their greatest shame. Weapons this powerful should never have been necessary. Fleet Admiral Daeho walked through the command center of the Terran flagship Unity. He was old, but age treatments kept him sharp. He had commanded this fleet for 40 years, always hoping he would never need to use it. Now, that hope was gone. "All ships report ready," his tactical officer said. "Crews are at stations. Weapons are armed. Drives are charged." Daeho nodded. He looked at the holographic display showing the positions of the Valtrian fleet. 3 systems, thousands of ships, all positioned around innocent worlds. The arrogance was astounding. Engineer Hana approached him. She was young, but brilliant. She had designed the latest generation of dreadnoughts. Their weapons could fire projectiles at 70% of light speed. Their shields could absorb the equivalent of a nuclear blast. Their engines could cross a solar system in hours. "Admiral," she said quietly, "are we certain this is necessary?" Daeho looked at her with tired eyes. "We gave them warning. We gave them time. We offered peace. They chose this. Now we must show them the cost of their choice. But Hana, remember the protocols. We disable, we do not destroy. We show force, but we show mercy. We are not the monsters our ancestors were." "Yes, sir," Hana said. But her hands shook slightly. She had spent her life building these ships. She had hoped they would only ever be a deterrent. Now they would fire in anger. Across the fleet, captains addressed their crews. Captain Jinwoo stood before his people on the Defiant Dawn. Behind him, through the window, 9,999 other dreadnoughts waited. "We did not want this," Jinwoo said. "Our ancestors fought wars that killed billions. They made us promise to never repeat their mistakes. We have honored that promise for 300 years. We have watched the galaxy from the shadows. We have protected the weak. We have guided civilizations toward peace, all without revealing ourselves. But the Valtrians have forced our hand. They destroyed our memorial. They threaten innocent worlds. They laugh at our warnings. So now we must remind them, and the entire galaxy, why humanity chose isolation. We were not afraid. We were merciful. Today, that mercy ends. His crew stood silent. Many of them had been born in the hidden fleet. They had trained their entire lives for a battle they hoped would never come. Now, it was here. Lieutenant Sora sat at her tactical station. She was young, only 25, but she was the best strategic mind in the fleet. She had studied the Valtrian formations for days. She knew exactly how to defeat them with minimum casualties. Jump calculations are complete, she reported. We can achieve simultaneous arrival in all 3 systems. The Valtrians will not have time to coordinate a response. Excellent, Jinwoo said. Signal the fleet. Begin jump sequence in 10 minutes. The minutes counted down. Throughout the human armada, crews made final preparations. Engineers checked systems. Gunners calibrated weapons. Medical teams prepared for casualties, though they hoped there would be none. Commander Hyunwoo tried one last time to contact Captain Jinwoo. He sent a message from his position with the Valtrian fleet. Please do not do this. There must be another way. We can negotiate. We can find peace. Jinwoo's response came quickly. We offered negotiation. Your admiral refused. We gave warning. Your empire ignored it. We showed respect. You destroyed our memorial. Commander, I know you are a good man. I know you tried to help. But your people have made their choice. Now they will live with the consequences. I suggest you make sure your crew's emergency suits are ready. You will need them. The message ended. Hyunwoo stared at the screen. Then he turned to his crew. Everyone, suit up. Full combat gear. Seal all hatches. Prepare for incoming fire. His officers looked confused. Sir. From what? There is nothing on sensors. There will be, Hyunwoo said quietly. The 10 minutes ended. Across the human fleet, jump drives engaged. Space itself seemed to tear apart as 10,000 massive ships disappeared from the hidden nebula. In 3 Valtrian-occupied systems, sensors suddenly went insane. Gravitational distortions appeared everywhere. Space twisted and folded. And then, the ships arrived. The sky turned black. 10,000 human dreadnoughts appeared simultaneously across 3 star systems. They emerged from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation, creating a 3-dimensional grid that spanned millions of kilometers. Each ship positioned exactly where it needed to be. The precision was impossible. The scale was beyond comprehension. Admiral Taeyang stared at his tactical display. The screen showed thousands of red hostile markers. Each one represented a ship larger than his flagship. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. On every Valtrian vessel, the same scene repeated. Crews looked at their sensors in disbelief. Captains tried to count the enemy ships and gave up. There were too many. Far too many. Fleet Admiral Daeho transmitted on all frequencies. His voice was calm but absolute. Valtrian forces. This is Fleet Admiral Daeho of the Terran Defense Fleet. You are surrounded in 3 systems simultaneously. You are outgunned and outmaneuvered. You will power down your weapons immediately. You will withdraw from these systems within 1 hour. Your empire will formally recognize protected zones. You will sign the Terran Compact. You will pay reparations for the memorial you destroyed. This is not negotiation. This is reality. You have 30 seconds to respond. Silence. Then Admiral Taeyang's voice, shaking with rage and fear. This is impossible. How do you have so many ships? We had 300 years to build them, Daeho replied. While you spent your resources conquering, we spent ours preparing. Your time is up. Stand down or be disabled. Taeyang made his fatal mistake. All ships, attack. Fire everything. and the battle began. The Valtrian fleet opened fire first. 5,000 warships unleashed everything they had. Plasma cannons glowed white-hot as they fired. Missile batteries launched thousands of warheads. Energy beams cut through space. The combined firepower could have destroyed a small moon. The human dreadnoughts did not move. Their shields absorbed the attack completely. Not a flicker, not a ripple. The plasma splashed against invisible barriers and dissipated. The missiles detonated harmlessly. The energy beams scattered like light through water. For 3 seconds, the Valtrians threw everything they had at the human fleet. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then, Lieutenant Sora gave the order. Disable their weapons. Surgical strikes only. No casualties. The human counterattack was precise and terrifying. Railguns mounted along the spine of each dreadnought fired. Metal slugs accelerated to 70% of light speed. The projectiles were small, only 10 kilograms each, but at that velocity they carried the impact force of nuclear weapons. The slugs punched through Valtrian armor like paper. They destroyed gun batteries. They shattered missile tubes. They melted plasma cannons. But they avoided crew compartments. They avoided life support. They avoided engines that would explode. Every shot was calculated. Every hit was intentional. Within 2 minutes, every Valtrian warship in all 3 systems was crippled, not destroyed, not crewed by corpses, simply unable to fight. Their weapons were gone, their shields were down, but their people were alive. Admiral Taeyang stood on his bridge in shock. His flagship had been hit 17 times. Every weapon system was destroyed, but his crew was unharmed. Not a single casualty. He looked at the tactical display and saw the same thing repeated across his entire fleet. 5,000 ships. All disabled. All intact. 0 deaths. This is not possible, he whispered. Nobody is that precise, but the humans were. They had spent 300 years perfecting their technology. They had built weapons that could crack planets. Then they had learned to use those weapons with surgical precision. Because raw power was easy. Control was what separated warriors from murderers. Commander Hyunwoo had followed his instincts and ordered his crew into combat suits. When the railgun slugs hit his ship, they punched through the weapons deck, but missed the crew compartment by meters. His people were shaken but alive. He looked out the window and saw the human dreadnoughts hanging in space like dark angels. They had not moved from their positions. They had simply demonstrated absolute superiority. Sir, his communications officer said shakily, we are receiving a transmission from the human flagship. Put it through, Hyunwoo said. Captain Jinwoo's face appeared on the screen. He looked sad, not triumphant. Commander Hyunwoo, this is Captain Jinwoo. We detected that you prepared your crew before our arrival. Thank you for protecting them. Our medical ships are deploying now to assist any wounded. Please transmit your damage reports so we can prioritize rescue operations. Hyunwoo stared. You are offering medical aid? You just destroyed our fleet. We disabled your weapons, Jinwoo corrected. We did not destroy your fleet, and we took no lives. War is a last resort, Commander. But when it comes, we fight with honor. Your people are not our enemies. Your leadership made mistakes. We will not punish your crews for following orders. Across all 3 systems, human rescue craft deployed from the Dreadnoughts. Small ships approached, damaged Valtrian vessels, and offered assistance. Medical teams transferred over with supplies and equipment. Engineers helped stabilize power cores. The humans moved quickly and professionally, treating their former enemies with respect and care. On the planets below, primitive civilizations looked up at the sky in wonder and terror. Their telescopes and early satellites showed them the battle. They saw the massive ships appear. They saw the brief exchange of fire. They saw the aftermath. And they understood, on some basic level, that they had just witnessed something historic. Powerful beings had fought above their world, and the victors were now protecting them. Fleet Admiral Daeho transmitted again. this time to Admiral Taeyang directly. Admiral, your fleet is defeated. Your weapons are gone. Your shields are down. You cannot fight, but you can choose what happens next. You can order your ships to withdraw peacefully and begin negotiations. Or you can refuse, and we will be forced to tow your vessels out of these systems. The choice is yours. Taeyang's face was pale. His hands shook. How did you do this? How do you have so many ships? How is your technology so advanced? I told your diplomat, Daeho said patiently. We had 300 years without the distraction of conquest. We focused on advancement, on learning, on building. While your empire was busy subjugating worlds, we were perfecting our civilization. This is what happens when a species chooses progress over domination. What do you want from us? Taeyang asked. We want you to recognize that other species have the right to develop without interference. We want you to sign a compact that protects primitive worlds. We want you to pay for the memorial station you destroyed. And we want you to understand that the galaxy has guardians now. You are not the strongest power anymore. We are. But unlike you, we do not seek to conquer. We seek to protect. Taeyang closed his eyes. He had spent his career building the Valtrian Empire into the dominant force in known space. Now, in 1 hour, that dominance had been shattered, not by equals, but by a species so far advanced that his entire fleet had been disabled without a single human casualty. I will recommend to the Grand Council that we accept your terms, he said quietly. Good, Daeho said. We will escort your fleet back to Valtrian space. Our diplomats will arrive in 3 days to begin formal negotiations. This does not have to be the end of the Valtrian Empire, Admiral. It can be the beginning of something better. The transmission ended. Taeyang sat down heavily in his command chair. His officers looked at him in silence. They had all believed they were invincible. Now, they knew the truth. They were children playing at war. The humans were something else entirely. Commander Hyunwoo watched as a human medical ship docked with his crippled cruiser. A team came aboard, led by a young woman named Hana. She wore an engineer's uniform and carried diagnostic equipment. Commander, she said with a slight bow, I am Engineer Hana. I designed the weapons that disabled your ship. I apologize for the damage. I tried to make the calculations as precise as possible to avoid harming your crew. Hyunwoo looked at her in amazement. You designed the weapons? Yes. The Mark 7 railgun system. It can hit a target the size of a coin from 3 million kilometers away. I spent 10 years perfecting the targeting algorithms. Today was the first time they were used in actual combat. I am pleased that they performed as intended. You are pleased? Hyunwoo asked incredulously. You just destroyed thousands of weapons systems across an entire fleet. Yes, Hana said simply. But I did not kill anyone. That was the goal. Maximum force with minimum casualties. War should be about disabling enemies, not murdering them. My weapons allow that. They give us the ability to win without becoming monsters. Hyunwoo sat down. He thought about his career, about the planets he had helped conquer, about the battles he had fought. The Valtrians had never cared about casualties. They had never tried to minimize deaths. They had simply overwhelmed their enemies with firepower. But the humans were different. They had built weapons that could destroy worlds. Then they had programmed those weapons to spare lives. Why? He asked quietly. Hana looked at him with sad eyes. Because we remember what we were. 300 years ago, humans were conquerors like you. We destroyed civilizations. We killed billions. We fought wars that nearly ended all life in this part of the galaxy. Then we looked at what we had done, and we were horrified. So we made a choice. We would never be that species again. We would isolate ourselves until we learned wisdom. We would build strength, but we would use that strength only to protect, never to conquer. Today, you saw the result. We are the most powerful military force in the galaxy. And we use that power to prevent war, not create it. Scholar Yuna broadcast from Valtros Prime. She had been watching the battle through military channels. She had seen the human fleet appear. She had seen the Valtrian attack fail. She had seen the precise counterstrike that disabled without destroying. And she had understood. People of the Valtrian Empire, she said into the cameras. Today we learned that the legends were real. But we also learned what those legends truly mean. Humanity is not extinct. They have been watching us, protecting the galaxy, hoping they would never need to reveal themselves. We forced their hand with our arrogance. We destroyed their memorial. We threatened innocent worlds, and they responded with overwhelming force and perfect mercy. They are exactly what the ancient records said. Warriors, protectors, teachers. We should have listened. Her broadcast spread across the empire. In homes and public spaces, Valtrians watched the footage of the battle. They saw 10,000 human dreadnoughts hanging in space like a dark wall. They saw their mighty fleet reduced to helpless debris in minutes. But they also saw human medical ships helping the wounded. They saw human engineers repairing damaged systems. They saw mercy from beings that could have shown annihilation. The galaxy had changed forever. The humans had returned, and they were nothing like anyone expected. 3 weeks after what the galaxy now called the day the sky turned black, the Valtrian Grand Council met in emergency session. The chamber that had once echoed with arrogant laughter was now silent and somber. Admiral Taeyang was no longer present. He had been removed from command and quietly retired. His replacement, a younger officer named Sung Ho, sat in the military section, looking thoughtful rather than proud. The council faced an impossible choice: accept humanity's terms or face complete isolation. In the weeks since the battle, 17 other civilizations had contacted the humans to open diplomatic relations. Species that had hidden from the Valtrian Empire suddenly found courage when they learned about the human fleet. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted overnight. Counselor Nari stood to address the assembly. She was old and tired, but her voice was clear. We have seen the reports. We have reviewed the battle footage. We have spoken with our military commanders. The truth is simple and undeniable. We cannot fight the humans. We cannot intimidate them. We cannot ignore them. They have demonstrated military superiority so absolute that resistance is meaningless. But more importantly, they have demonstrated something else: mercy. They could have destroyed our fleet. They could have killed thousands. They chose not to. That restraint tells us more about them than their weapons do. Another council member, a hardliner named Chul Wu, stood angrily. So we just surrender? We just accept defeat and bow to these humans? It is not surrender, Nari said firmly. It is reality. The humans do not want to rule us. They want us to stop expanding into protected territories. They want us to respect developing civilizations. They want us to coexist peacefully. These are not unreasonable demands. And frankly, after seeing what they can do, we should be grateful they only ask this much. The debate continued for hours, but in the end, the vote was clear. The Terran Compact would be ratified. The Valtrian Empire would maintain its sovereignty, but would abandon conquest-based expansion. Protected zones would be recognized and respected. Reparations would be paid for the destroyed memorial station. The humans returned to Valtros Prime the next week. This time, diplomat Mina was accompanied by Fleet Admiral Deho and Engineer Hana. They walked into the Grand Council chamber with the same quiet confidence as before. But now, every council member stood when they entered. Respect had replaced mockery. Mina presented the full terms of the compact. It was not a surrender document. It was a framework for cooperation. The Valtrian Empire would continue to govern its existing territories, but expansion would require approval from a council of civilizations, including human representatives. Technology exchange programs would be established. Joint military exercises would ensure coordination in case of external threats. Most importantly, developing civilizations would be protected and guided toward peaceful spaceflight. "We are not here to conquer you," Mina explained. "We are here to ensure that the mistakes of the past are not repeated. Your empire has strength. We ask that you use that strength to protect rather than subjugate. Join us in building a galaxy where civilizations grow without fear of invasion." The compact was signed that day. Counselor Nari and diplomat Mina placed their marks on the document together. It was broadcast across every world in the Empire. A new era had begun. Commander Hyunwoo had been promoted to diplomatic envoy. His experience working with the humans during the crisis made him the natural choice to represent Valtria in ongoing negotiations. He stood before the Grand Council and gave his recommendation. "I have spent weeks with these humans," he said. "I have seen their ships. I have spoken with their crews. I have learned their history. And I can tell you this with certainty. They are the most dangerous military force in the galaxy. Their weapons can destroy worlds. Their precision can eliminate threats without collateral damage. Their technology is centuries beyond ours. But I have also learned something more important. They are the most principled beings I have ever encountered. They fight only when necessary. They show mercy whenever possible. They have watched over developing civilizations for 3 centuries, protecting them from extinction without revealing themselves. They are not conquerors. They are guardians. We should be grateful to join them rather than fight them." Scholar Yuna added her voice. "I have researched every document about human history that I could find. The picture is clear. 300 years ago, humanity nearly destroyed the galaxy. They fought wars of such brutality that entire species ceased to exist. They used weapons that cracked planets. They were monsters. But they recognized what they had become, and they chose to change. They isolated themselves. They rebuilt their civilization from the ground up. They made principles of mercy and protection the foundation of their culture. What we witnessed 3 weeks ago was not aggression. It was the culmination of 3 centuries of growth and wisdom. They are what we should aspire to become." The years passed. The compact held. The Valtrian Empire transformed from a conquering force into a partner in galactic development. Commander Hyunwoo became Ambassador Hyunwoo, the first non-human to serve in the Terran Diplomatic Corps. Scholar Yuna established the Institute for Human Studies, ensuring that the lessons learned from the crisis would never be forgotten. 5 years after the day the sky turned black, Hyunwoo and Yuna visited Earth for the first time. They arrived aboard a human transport, treated as honored guests rather than former enemies. The ship approached a blue and white world that looked impossibly beautiful. "That is Terra," Captain Jinwoo said softly. He had come out of retirement to pilot the transport personally. "Humanity's birthworld. We nearly destroyed it during our wars. Now it is our most protected place. Only a few million humans live there. The rest of us spread across the stars. But we always remember where we came from." The transport landed at a place called the Memorial Gardens. It was a vast park covering hundreds of kilometers. Stone monuments rose like forests. Each stone was carved with names. Billions of names. Every human who had died in the ancient wars. Every member of the 12 species they had fought. Even the names of enemies were honored here. Hyunwoo and Yuna walked through the gardens with Jinwoo as their guide. They passed monuments to destroyed worlds, memorials to extinct civilizations, stones marking the deaths of entire generations. The weight of history pressed down on them. "Why did you isolate yourselves for so long?" Yuna asked quietly. Jinwoo stopped before a stone that bore the name of his great-grandfather. who had died in the final battle of the Great Burning. Because we learned the cost of arrogance. We thought we were invincible. We thought might made right. We conquered worlds because we could. We destroyed civilizations because they opposed us. And in the end, we looked at what we had done and realized we were the monsters that children feared in the dark. So, we stopped. We left the galaxy to rebuild without us. We swore we would never cause such death again. But you built the Dreadnoughts, Hyunwoo said. 10,000 warships. That is not pacifism. No, Jinwoo agreed. It is realism. We learned that peace requires strength. We built the Dreadnoughts not for conquest, but to ensure that conquest becomes impossible. We watch over developing civilizations. We intervene when genocides begin. We protect the weak from the strong. The 10,000 ships are not weapons of war. They are instruments of peace. They exist so that war becomes unnecessary. Yuna touched one of the memorial stones. And when the Valtrian Empire destroyed your memorial station, you had no choice but to reveal yourselves. Yes, that station was sacred. It contained the names of our dead. It was our promise to remember what we had been and what we had learned. When your admiral destroyed it, he destroyed something irreplaceable. That, combined with your empire's aggression toward protected worlds, forced us to act. We could no longer remain hidden. Do you regret it? Hyunwoo asked. Jinwoo considered the question carefully. I regret the necessity, but I do not regret the outcome. The Valtrian Empire has changed. You have stopped conquering. You have started protecting. Other civilizations see our fleet and know that aggression will not be tolerated. Developing worlds grow without fear. The galaxy is more peaceful now than it has been in centuries. So no, I do not regret revealing ourselves. I only wish it had not been necessary. They continued walking through the gardens until they reached the newest section. Here, fresh stones were being carved. These bore the names of humans who had died in the past century, not from war, but from age, accidents, and the normal risks of life. The section was small compared to the ancient monuments. A sign of how much humanity had changed. We are still warriors, Jinwoo said. That will never change. Humanity's nature includes the capacity for violence, but we have learned to channel that nature toward protection rather than destruction. The Dreadnoughts patrol the galaxy now. Most species never see them. Those who would threaten the innocent learn, as your empire learned, that we are watching. Always watching. Hyunwoo looked back toward the spaceport where human ships came and went. What happens now? Where does the galaxy go from here? Forward, Jinwoo said simply. The compact creates a framework for cooperation. More species will join. Technology will be shared. Civilizations will grow. And humanity will remain the guardians. We will watch over the galaxy, not as rulers, but as protectors. That is our purpose now. That is what we built the Dreadnoughts to achieve. Yuna recorded everything she saw. She took images of the memorials. She documented the names. She captured the sense of solemn duty that permeated the gardens. This would form the foundation of her institute's teachings. Future generations would learn from humanity's mistakes and their redemption. As the sun set over the memorial gardens, casting long shadows across the stones, the three of them stood in silence. A Valtrian commander, a Valtrian scholar, a human captain. Once they would have been enemies. Now they were partners in building a better galaxy. Somewhere above them, in the darkness of space, 10,000 dreadnoughts maintained their vigil. Silent guardians watching over countless worlds. The legends had been real all along. They had simply been waiting for the moment when they were needed most. That moment had come. The galaxy had been reminded that power without wisdom leads to destruction. That strength should protect, not conquer. that the greatest warriors are those who fight to make war unnecessary. The humans had returned. Not as conquerors, but as the guardians they had always been meant to be, and the stars were safer for it.